Good Friday, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Conversation Daily News. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. Well, we made it to the end of another week. We, of course, have your news headlines coming up on this Friday. We have the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich. And in today's Entertainment Spotlight, you'll be part of my conversation with home improvement expert Mallory Meitstich of Angie, giving you guys some great tips for those do-it-yourself projects. Enjoy our program. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Friday headlines. In international news, Ukrainian troops surrendering at Mariupol registered as POWs. The fate of hundreds of Ukrainian fighters who surrendered after holding out against punishing attacks on Mariupol's steel factory hung in the balance on Thursday amid international fears that the Russians may try reprisals against the prisoners. The Red Cross gathered personal information from hundreds of the soldiers, name, date of birth, closest relative, and registered them as prisoners of war as part of its role in ensuring the humane treatment of POWs under the Geneva Conventions. Amnesty International said in a tweet that the Ukrainian soldiers are now prisoners of war and as such must not be subjected to any form of torture or ill treatment. More than 1,700 defenders of the steel plant in Mariupol have surrendered since Monday, Russian authorities said, in what appeared to be the final stage in the nearly 3-month siege of the now pulverized port city. At least some of the fighters were taken by the Russians to a former penal colony in territory controlled by Moscow-backed separatists. Others were hospitalized, according to a separatist official, but an undisclosed number remain in the warren of bunkers and tunnels in the sprawling plant. In a brief video message, the deputy commander of the regiment, which led the defense of the steel mill, said he and other fighters were still inside. An operation is underway, the details of which I will not announce, he said. While Ukraine expressed hope for a prisoner exchange, Russian authorities have threatened to investigate some of the fighters for war crimes and put them on trial, branding them Nazis and criminals. Meanwhile, in the first war crimes trial held by Ukraine, a captured Russian soldier testified that he shot an unarmed civilian in the head on an officer's orders, and he asked the victim's widow to forgive him. The soldier pleaded guilty earlier in the week, but prosecutors presented the evidence against him in line with Ukrainian law. In national news, CDC advisors urge Pfizer booster for children ages 5 to 11. Kids ages 5 to 11 should get a booster dose of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine, advisors to the U.S. government said on Thursday. If the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention agrees as expected, it would open a third COVID-19 shot to healthy elementary-age kids, just like it already recommended for everyone 12 and older. The hope is that an extra shot will show protection for kids ages 5 to 11 as infections once again are on the rise. Earlier this week, the Food and Drug Administration authorized Pfizer's kid-sized booster to be offered at least 5 months after the youngster's last shot. But the CDC takes the next step of recommending who actually needs vaccinations. Its advisors debated if all otherwise healthy 5 to 11-year-olds need an extra dose, especially since so many children were infected during the huge winter surge of the Omicron variant. In more national news, House passes domestic terrorism bill after Buffalo shooting. The House passed legislation late Wednesday night that would bolster federal resources to prevent domestic terrorism in response to the racist mass shooting in Buffalo, New York. The 223-203 nearly party line vote was an answer to the growing pressure Congress faces to address gun violence and white supremacist attack, a crisis that escalated following 2 mass shootings over the past weekend. In more national news, FDA head says baby formula factory could reopen by next week. The head of the Food and Drug Administration told lawmakers Thursday that a shuttered baby formula factory could be up and running as soon as next week, though he sidestepped questions about whether his agency should have intervened earlier to address problems at the plant that triggered the national shortage. The FDA commissioner faced a bipartisan grilling from House lawmakers over the baby formula issue that has angered American parents and become a political liability for President Joe Biden. The problems are largely tied to Abbott Nutrition's Michigan formula plant, the largest in the U.S., which has been closed since February due to contamination problems. The FDA announced a preliminary agreement with Abbott earlier this week to restart production pending safety upgrades and certifications. And finally, in business news, stocks in lower, nearing but not quite in bear market. Another volatile day on Wall Street ended with more losses for stocks on Thursday, drawing the S&P 500 closer to its first bear market since the beginning of the pandemic. The index, a benchmark for many funds, fell 0.6% after easing off a deeper stumble. The latest decline came a day after the S&P 500 had its biggest drop in nearly 2 years. It's now down 18.7% from the record high it set early this year, and is nearly at the 20% threshold that defines a bear market. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 0.8%, and the Nasdaq slipped 0.3%. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's on time for the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich. Mary Ellen, take it away.
Hi, this is Mary Ellen with your Truth of the Day. Become successful. Get out of your own way. It is amazing how often you can get in your own way without even being aware of what you are doing. You think you want to succeed, yet there are so many reasons why you may want to block your own efforts. It may be subconsciously you are afraid to succeed, so you create reasons to keep yourself stuck. It may be you make your goals so difficult that no one could ever achieve them, or you approach your goals in a way that it keeps creating the same results over and over again. If you believe you're standing in your own way, take out a piece of paper and record your progress so far. Write down all the choices you made, your efforts, any fears that may have prompted your decisions to keep you stuck. Honestly look at what you wrote down, and next time, choose differently. Today, face any obstacles that are blocking you. Let go and find success as you go about to enjoy the day.
Mallory Mike Stitch of Angie is joining us in today's Entertainment Spotlight. We're here on Conversation Daily News. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with Entertainment Spotlight. Home improvement expert Mallory Matchstitch joined me on Conversations Live, the radio show, to give you guys some home improvement tips that all of us can use. Here's a bit of our conversation.
Mallory, I think, as I said, we've already started here in Mississippi where I am. How can we set ourselves up for success, though, when it comes to a low-stress home renovation this year?
Yeah, it is a great question. At Angie, we know that there are a few things you can do to really help take anxiety out of the process. Plan ahead. Know when to hire a pro versus DIY. That's a big one. I think we all are tempted to take on that DIY project, even if we shouldn't. Do your research and ask a lot of questions throughout the process. Set a realistic budget and communicate with your contractor regularly. Help set up those boundaries to create that really healthy relationship. And in the long run, all that is going to really help reduce the stress and take the anxiety out of the process.
Mallory, I know a lot of people do wait till the last minute or try to work around, when they have some freedom in their schedule. But talk to us about what are the benefits of planning ahead when it comes to these plans?
Yeah, at Angie, we know and we have consistently seen over the years that May is really the kickoff for the summer home improvement season, which means that high-quality pros are in demand. Recently, we talked to about 1,000 homeowners about the process that they did when they took on a major home renovation process or a project. And one of the things that they said overwhelmingly, when we asked them, what would you do over? They said, start planning ahead of time. So planning ahead really helps you not only ensure that you get the pro that you want, but it helps mean that you can finish your renovation on time and on budget. And it really helps with staying in the loop, calm and control throughout the whole process. So build in some extra time before you really take on that project.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning in to this edition of Conversations Daily News. We'll be back to you guys on Monday with more news, Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and of course your Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, I'm your host Cyrus Webb saying, as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Daily News today. Let's make today amazing. Take care.